Good evening and welcome to the Gerry Joe Leeds United show. I have just been joined by Ginny. I know we were having some technical issues there, but it's good to see he's been able to arrive. Hello, Ginny.
Good evening, sir. Apologies about that. I just would not let me go through it. I don't know what was. So I've come through on the phone actually, Gerry. So apologies.
Yeah, no, that's fine. These technical things you just don't know what's going to happen. So thanks
Tell me about
thanks
it.
for thanks for coming on. So just we'll start off anyway. We've had a few days now to reflect on the Newcastle game. We had the initial reaction from the guys there the other night. Obviously, straight after in the heat of battle, emotions running high. Probably nerves were high at the time. So after a few days, what's your reflection on the game?
I thought we dominated it quite well in the first half. Probably felt you should have gone in 2-0 up. Then the second half, they clearly changed the tactics. They pushed on us a little bit more than a lot more than the first half, and we just don't know. We gave the ball away cheaply. We didn't seem to make the right decisions, and I thought we made a game that I felt we were quite comfortable in, quite difficult, but I think we thoroughly deserved the 3 points over the 90 minutes. They are a poor side, Gerry, aren't they?
They are. I thought they were much improved, certainly in the second half from the team that we beat 5-2. Obviously it wasn't that long ago now, but from that game, I thought they were much improved. Definitely, the Saint Maximin. I think he makes a big difference to them. I thought he was really good and caused us all kinds of trouble. I also thought it was interesting. Where obviously we tend to stick with the sort of man-to-man all over the field, where a few times whenever your man Fabian Schär, once he kind of came forward, there was nobody else kind of picking up the runs, which is kind of, I suppose it's where the man-to-man gets exposed a bit. But I think they were, on the face of it, at the time, whenever we were doing the chat the other night, I think I was kind of like, I felt like we had been a wee bit lucky, just the way the second half had went. But on reflection, I think winning 2-1 away from home against a team that's been in the Premier League a couple of years is a good result. I'm not sure. I think we might have lost Ginny again. I know he has been having a few technical issues there. But no, so like as I says there, the fact that we played Newcastle in a Premier League team, obviously they've had a couple of years in the Championship, but I thought that we done relatively well. To get a win 2-1, it would be arrogant of us, I think, to look at it. It would be arrogant of us to look at anything other than a win. A win being anything other than a good result. There's a comment there from Matt AM. Good result against a wounded animal. I think it was a good result. I think we done quite well. Obviously, from the game, the news just came that Llorente obviously only lasted 10 minutes. It looks as though he's going to be out for another 4 weeks. So I will get on to the Leicester City game before, obviously I finish up for this particular chat. But he's going to be out, which obviously leaves us with some selection issues for the next game, which obviously will be interesting to see what Bielsa does. Leicester is obviously the next game up on Sunday, and the last time we played Leicester, obviously we suffered a bad result, and I was actually going back over the game earlier and had a look at the replay and the highlights of it, and obviously we conceded really early, really bad goal, and we played a ball back and it was intercepted, and Vardy got on the end of it and passed it. I think it was possibly to Harvey Barnes, and then they went 2-0 up. But Mele had made a good save, but the rebound was The rebound was hit in. And then we got back into it at the start of the second half. Dallas scored. I think it was a cross and missed everyone and went in. And then we had the Pablo shot. I think everyone remembers. Pablo got the ball at the edge of the box and hit a shot, and it hit the post, which was very unlucky. I think here's Ginny back now. It hit the post, which was very unlucky. I see you're back there, Ginny. Yes.
Sorry, Jeff. I thought that was up tonight.
Yeah. So I was just saying about the last game against Leicester. Yeah, I've got you. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, you've just moved on to the Leicester game.
Yep. I was just saying about the Leicester game, and it was. I watched the highlights of it today, and I thought sort of like we didn't do ourselves any favors that day. Have you? Sorry, just have you got the? Are you running on YouTube as well?
Are you there, Gerry?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No, that's better now. I think I could hear myself in the background as well. It was confusing me. But no, yeah. So I was watching the highlights of the Leicester game from the last time. I had a wee quick flick through them, and obviously we gave away the goal at the very beginning, which didn't do us any favors. And then we were unlucky with the obviously Millet made a good save, and I think it was possibly Tillman's nipped in for the second, and then we got a fortunate goal through Dallas, and Pablo effort hit the post. Like I thought it was kind of a game where we didn't really do ourselves any favors and probably could have done better. What would you say about the game the last time?
Yeah, I thought we started off slow, didn't we? And unfortunately, Koch, I think, made their mistake in that game, wasn't it, with the back pass?
Yeah, I've already intercepted it.
And before you know it, you're 2-0 down to a very, very, very good Leicester side. But we came back strong in the second half, and I think you mentioned, Gerry, that shot from Pablo that goes in, and it's 2-2, and they caught us on the break, and then a bit of a soft penalty at the end, wasn't it? I didn't think 4-1 reflected the game based on the second half, but they're a really good team, and I thought we had a really good go in that second half. But at the end of the day, I think Leicester fully deserved the 3 points. Just hoping we can go there on Sunday and get a little bit of revenge.
I think one thing I sort of took like to me, Leicester, everything kind of about Leicester and the way Leicester play kind of feels a wee bit to me like they might be like a kind of like a kryptonite for Leeds and just our style of play. But I kind of looked back and I was looking at the lineups and stuff, and like we were without Phillips that night, which obviously Phillips is our best player, and he'll make a big difference. It looks like they're going to be without Vardy, which again is a massive difference for them. And I know it looks like Ndidi is going to be out as well, who's a player that I really rate, although he didn't actually play. He didn't play in the game that they beat us either. But how much of an influence do you think, like how much of a swing do you think there could be with Phillips back for us and Vardy out for them?
Well, it certainly makes a difference when Calvin's, taking that ball and everything goes through Calvin and his quality. But I watched them on Wednesday night. I don't know if you saw the game against Everton, and they were excellent. Probably deserved to get the 3 points based on the performance. And I think having Phillips in the team is going to make a big difference. I know they haven't got Vardy, but they have got more players back from the game when they beat us at Ellen Road. It's going to be very, very difficult. But I've said all season, I just want us to be able to compete, go to places like Leicester and put on a really good show. If we turn up and we get half a chance, I think we can get a point at Leicester. Most people are going to write us off, aren't they? But disappointing again for Llorente. I just feel we're having to put a makeshift back four in. It'll be interesting to see whether Bielsa sticks with Struijk and Cooper, or he decides to go back to the option that he's had for a few weeks now, putting Ayling at centre half alongside Cooper, Dallas at right back, and Alioski into the left back position. But I thought Brendan Rodgers that Monday night, Gerry, I thought he got his tactics spot on against us. If I'm being honest.
Mm. Just obviously you mentioned there about Llorente out and the possibility. Now, for me, I personally would like to see Struijk play. But obviously, I'm a guy off the internet and I don't really know anything so what do you think Bielsa will be thinking? Do you think he will go back to Ealing at centre back?
Who knows with Bielsa? He might just feel with especially with Vardy not in the team, he might think to keep that balance, keep Struijk, who to be fair did not have a bad game at Newcastle. I thought he did okay, and I think I said on the last show, I'm not convinced about him in Calvin's role, but I think there's obviously potential there for him to be a good backup as a centre half. And as I say, I thought he did okay on Tuesday night. If it was me, I would stick with that pairing, Dallas at left back and Ayling at right back, even though I know Dallas went into the midfield slot. I mean, that's another decision for Bielsa. Does he bring Click back or does he stick to that 11, which he might well stick to the 11 that started against Newcastle?
Just obviously on the situation there where Dallas could end up playing through left back or midfield. There's been a wee bit of talk about Alioski and possibly leaving the club. Where would you stand on that? Do you think that he should get another contract, or would you let him go now at this point?
I think we all like Alioski. He's an absolute head case. On his day going forward as in that position, he's outstanding. I'm not convinced he's that great in the defensive role as a left back. Same with Dallas. I think Dallas has done a fantastic job wherever he's played. But I think we all said a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, or the other week, a left back to us all is probably a priority in the summer. And I guess at 28, 29, it's what he wants. If he wants first team football and he can see his chances drifting next season, he himself may feel it's best to go somewhere where he can play regular football, because it's important. If you care about playing football and not the money, then you want to play every week. And the chances are he could get pushed further and further back next season. I'd like him to stay, I think, as a squad player and to have around the dressing room. I think he's a very good player to have around, but he's out of contract in the summer. Doesn't seem to be too much coming out about a new contract being signed. I think Bielsa said today, hasn't he? If he wants to stay, he wants him to stay. But I think it'd be down to the player, Gerry, if I'm honest. I think it's down to what he wants and whether he feels he can cement a first team place. And I'm not so sure. As I say, I think a left back's one of the priority positions if we stay up, which I think we will in the summer. What do you feel about it?
To be completely honest, I would probably let him go. It's just purely a case of, as you say, he's a very popular figure, and he's a lot of fun, but in terms of if we're going to continue to grow and reach the levels that the board and that Bielsa and that we as fans want to see the club reach, I don't think that Alioski getting another couple of years is necessarily going to get us there. I think, as you say, at best he's going to be a squad player. How much do you want to invest in a squad player? Would it be better with somebody like having young Davis as a backup left back, and that whatever minutes that Alioski would possibly get if a new left back comes in. So to me, it would be probably a case of I would let him go. He served the club well. He was a part of the promotion team. He's very popular. But I do think that we're probably not going to take the next step with Alioski in the team. But having said all of that, I do hope that just because he is so popular, I hope he doesn't go to Galatasaray. To be honest,
no.
I don't think anyone
no.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody wants him to be going there. So sort of back on the game at this week then. obviously, as you say, Brendan Rodgers sort of felt like he maybe done a number on Bielsa the last time. But I think there's a few key battles in this game. I think one of the big things is going to be, obviously with Vardy out, there's going to be even more responsibility for Leicester on James Maddison, and he's probably going to be kind of playing opposite the Phillips. So I think there's a good two guys there who probably think to themselves that they could be in the England squad this summer if the Euros go ahead. So I think that could be a good battle, and it could play a large part in how the game works out. How would you think that battle will go? Like, obviously Madison's been in great form, but Phillips is he is obviously our key man.
Yeah, I like you say, I think Madison's outstanding. He takes a lot of the set pieces, but again, Calvin, the local lad, he'll relish the opportunity to go head to head with a player like James Maddison. And look, we saw at Everton and a number of the games. Calvin's been superb in some of these games against top opposition. But like you say, there's battles all over the pitch. They are a very, very good side, and it'll be a real test for us. But we relish it, don't we? You just can't wait for these games to come along. It's just absolutely fantastic. I like all of us, just love it. It's just brilliant. And like I say, I think we might go there and surprise a few people. I'm not saying we're going to win the game, but I think we potentially could come away with a point, which would be absolutely brilliant. And if we can get that first, I think the first goal for us, I was watching on Wednesday, and I think when Leicester have scored first, I think they've won virtually 12 out of the 20 games or so they've scored first, however, whatever the stats are. They're a good team. They're going to be top four, aren't they? But I just can't wait for Sunday. I just think it's so tasty, a few beers. It's just a shame we can't be there watching it, live in the stadium. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Gerry, on Sunday? Are you nervous? You think we've got a chance?
I'm feeling a wee bit more confident because I do think that from the Leicester side of things, I think Vardy is massive. His pace could really hurt us. I also really like Ndidi. Like, he kind of goes under the radar a wee bit, but to me, if there was anybody that Leicester could have got, like, I don't think they could have possibly replaced Kante with anybody better than your man with Wilfred Ndidi. I think he's a brilliant player, and it looks like he's going to be out as well. So I think that definitely gives us a chance. The fact that we're better away from home. I think we still have more points away from Elland Road than we have at home. I think we have a chance, but there's definitely some players like you need to get Maddison under control. You need to get Tielemans under control, and you need our attacking players obviously to have a big impact. I think the last time we played them, obviously, I think we still had Helder Costa was playing at the time. I can't remember whether Rodrigo was playing, but I think we certainly will show more threat. But as you say, when you concede like that last time, whenever you concede a goal after 2 or 3 minutes, it's a bad way to start a game. Like, it happened the same thing kind of against Man United, where you kind of haven't really settled into the game and you're out of it. So it could do well for us to be maybe 10, 15 minutes into the game and still well in it and grow into the game. Winning the other night will, it'll breed confidence in the players. It maybe was ugly at the end, but at the end of the day, whenever you go into that changing rooms and you've got 3 points, it doesn't matter how you got them. But I think it is important to remember Leicester's a good team. Leicester are good. Like, they obviously the one. Like, I think the Leicester team now are probably a better team, maybe than the team that won the league. Overall, there was maybe like 3 or 4 really good players in that team, but overall, I think they're probably a better team now. So I do think it'll be hard, but I do have a bit of optimism. I tend to go through, like, I look at the match and it's like I'll be real pessimistic, and then the closer it gets to the match, I'll grow in optimism and by 5-2 on Sunday I'll be foaming at the mouth, and we're going to 5-0. We're going to hammer them. Tends to be the way I go. obviously there's that game, and we've a busy week. I think it's actually got a wee bit easier. I see today, because I was looking at the fixtures there last night, and I think we were due. Um, we have the game against Leicester on Sunday. Then we've got Everton on Wednesday, and then it was supposed to be Palace on Saturday, but I think that's now been changed to the Monday.
Yeah, that's Monday
Um,
5.
yeah, so that's been changed now. It was actually something I actually wanted to talk to you. Obviously, like for me, living in Ireland, um, obviously the circumstances are different now at the minute. But living in Ireland, whenever I seen the news that Sky or BT or whoever were picking up the Leeds game, it was yes, brilliant. Not having to look for the dodgy streams, but like how much how frustrating. I know I always seen Leeds fans talking about it, but how frustrating was that? Like whenever they were changing the fixtures and on TV so much, which made it sort of awkward times for fans.
I think I've been going to away games for years and years, and I've been to the Brightons on the Friday nights, like many have, the Cardiffs midweek. I actually enjoy the midweek games. I
Mm-hmm.
love going. It doesn't matter how far it is. Take a couple of days off work. I think we just got used to it, Gerry. In the Championship, Leeds were the biggest draw for the EFL, weren't they, and for Sky. And now we've come into the Premier League. We're a massive draw. I think the Liverpool game, up until the United Liverpool game, was one of the most watched games in about 4 or 5 years for Sky when we played Liverpool on the opening day. What I don't quite understand, Gerry, obviously we're all on the BT or Sky regularly. Do you get money if you're on those games, or is it just the specific Sky and BT games? Do you think that we actually get the £1 million or whatever it is these days for appearing on?
I honestly don't know. I think the way it works is it might be different now because obviously with COVID and no fans in stadiums, every game's on TV now, so it might be different. But I do know that whenever I think the season whenever Man City and Leicester went to it was like Man City got 100 points and Liverpool got 99 or whatever it was, and they went right to the bitter end. I remember seeing that Liverpool got more money that season from the Premier League than Man City because there was basically everybody gets a set amount of money. You then get an amount of money based on your league position, and then you also get an additional amount based on how many times you're shown. So in that season, Liverpool were shown more times than Man City, which the difference that they were getting in that was more than the difference between finishing first and second. Now that's obviously what's that now? 3 years ago. Three. I think this is the third season since then. So, but the more we're on, obviously, the better. And the difference, I'm sure, is massive between being on whenever we're in the Championship and the money we're getting from TV and television rights now. So, but again, it's a matter of keeping that money ticking over. And the only way to do that is to stay in the Premier League, which we're well placed to do at the minute, which is always a massive positive.
Yeah, but coming back to your original question, as I say, Friday night, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, we just get on with it, and whatever day or time we're playing, Leeds are always going to turn up in big numbers. And Monday night, I mean, Crystal Palace at home, and that Monday night, that Leicester game that we had against them, you can't beat football on a midweek at Ellen Road. The ground packed. It's just brilliant. And as we've said before, we're all missing it, and fingers crossed we can all be back next season. I just can't. Do you think we'll get a chance of getting back into the stadium at all this season, even at small numbers?
Obviously, what's to say? The season's going to run probably to mid to late May. I guess there's a chance. I guess there is a chance because obviously, they did kind of do the thing where some cities, I know Liverpool for a wee while were allowed fans in, and was it Chelsea away? Did they have fans in against us?
Yeah, Chelsea for the Leeds game. There was 2,000, wasn't there? Yeah, 2,000.
Yeah. I think at the minute, kind of there was kind of that lull between sort of the first wave and the second wave or whatever, and if it does go down again, it could happen. Hopefully, if there's vaccinations, it could happen. But I think it is. Like I've seen, like I must have read about 5 articles this week from Leeds players saying that they can't wait for to be playing in front of the fans at Elland Road in the Premier League. And even was it Luke Ayling was talking about was it the Chelsea game? Yeah, it was the Chelsea game, and he was in an interview, and he was saying I think his family are all Chelsea fans, and he was saying like that was one like he really wanted, like his mum and dad and all wanted to be at the game, and he says like sort of the way they're looking at it is they're using it as like a bit of like a kind of thing to inspire them. It's like, right, well, the fans aren't in this year, so that's we really need to stay up and make sure that we can achieve all these things and experience all these things next year. So it'll be obviously be interesting to see what happens. But at the minute we're sitting okay, I think. So we hopefully another couple of wins and we'll be over the line, and definitely by next season we should be the fans should be back in.
I
Um,
hope so.
definitely, as obviously for myself, like it's the opportunities aren't as often as such, but you know, there's nothing like Elland Road and the big games, and then the traveling fans, and it's just so different watching. Like probably for me, it doesn't like matter as much because you're still watching the game. I'm usually 9 times out of 10 I'm watching games on the TV, and I'm you still have your crowd noise as artificial as it is. It's still there, So for the armchair fans as such, it's still the same. But it must be murder for people that are just like this is what I do on a Saturday, this is what I do on a Sunday, whatever, and it's different and it's difficult. But fingers crossed, we'll still be there next season, and hopefully with a few additional faces next year. But
I hope so.
yeah. So the game on Sunday then, you sort of think we have a chance of a draw, possibly.
Yeah, listen, on all the years, the league ones, all the years, Gerry. If we were playing Barcelona, I'd fancy us to get a result, but that's just me and thousands of fans. But in all seriousness, if we can just got to improve, we know we've got to improve. We've got to get back to how we were. A few weeks ago, we've got to make the right decisions. We've got to stop giving the ball away as we have done a little bit too cheaply. But I think if we can go toe to toe with them, I think we've got a chance of a point. I don't want to go there and get turned over. We know we've had a couple of big defeats, and okay, we can live with that. But I'd just like to go there on Sunday and come away with a point, and then we've got 2 home games at Elland Road. Looking forward to seeing how the pitch is looking when we take on Everton next Wednesday, because obviously there's been a lot of noise made about that. So 4 or 5 points from the next 3 games, it just takes us closer to the goal of 40 points, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's why I was actually talking to a friend today about it, and he's actually an Everton fan, so we were sort of prepping, for we might not speak for a couple of days next week, but I was sort of saying that like realistically, I would be happy probably if we got 4 points from those 3 games, but again, I was kind of penciling in thinking we might lose to Leicester if we could get a point against Everton and beat Palace, which again, obviously, Palace turned us over down in London, which obviously, like, I still don't understand how Patrick Bamford was offside in that game.
That changed, didn't it, that day? That changed the game for me.
It was a disgusting decision. Like, there's some decisions I can't get my head around, but that was definitely one of them. But their games. I think obviously Everton, we beat them away, so we can look at that game, and if we can beat them again, brilliant. But they're another side who are going well this season. They have a good manager, a couple of very good players. But I think one thing that I'm really want to see I get from the Leicester game and the Palace game is I want to see improvement. I want to see, we get turned over both times, 4-1, 4-1. Certain parts of the performance, and you could look, as we said, Pablo, with the effort against Leicester and the crazy offside against Palace. are things that we could point to as excuses. But we want to see improvement. We want to see, a better result than the last time, which again, it's not difficult to do better than losing 4-1. But we want to see something positive results and just keep us getting closer to that magic mark. I don't think it'll take 40 points this season, but it's the figure that they all talk about. So let's just keep ourselves ticking towards it.
No, you're right. I think it's 10 years since somebody's needed 40 points to stay in the Premier League. What's your thoughts in terms of the team selection? Would you bring Click back for this game, or would you stick with the Stewie Dallas in that midfield on Sunday?
If I was picking the team, I would have Dallas at left back instead of Alioski, and I would have Click in midfield. I do like Click. I know that there's been a bit of sort of conversation about him, and he was tired and all this sort of stuff. To me, I just think he sometimes looks a wee bit isolated. Just because sometimes our midfield gets stretched for Calvin can be playing so deep, and Rodrigo's trying to get closer to Bamford, and whenever that happens, we tend to end up having it's like a one-man centre midfield, and I don't care who you are, it's a hard place to be when you're on your own and you're not having support. I would definitely bring Click in, but if it came down and Alioski's playing, and Dallas has got so much energy. I love his energy. I do love just. But I think I would go with Click. I think I would go with Click instead of Dallas in midfield. But as I say, I would have Dallas at left back, and I would definitely have Ealing at right back and Struijk at centre back. I just don't like this where it feels to me sometimes like we have a list of 15 or 16 players, and no matter where they fit in, it's like Bielsa sometimes will just be, these are the players that I am playing. He's the next man up, so I'm going to have to move 3 or 4 guys about to get him in. And I don't like that. I just think if you've got a centre back, play the centre back. And as you say, I don't think Struijk's. I haven't seen anything from him in the defensive midfield role, Calvin's position, that makes me think that he has a future there. Just all I see is a centre back in him, to be honest. Also on the centre backs, I seen a talk today that they were saying that the lad Cresswell might get a few games from the bench. I think were they talking about Casey maybe going on loan and Cresswell stepping onto the bench.
Yeah.
I know he's really highly rated. Have you seen anything of him yourself? Or
no, other than clips from the under-23s. He obviously started the game, didn't he, against Hull City earlier in the season in the League Cup, and a few of these players unfortunately didn't quite live up to the build that we've been hearing about them. But it's a big jump, isn't it? Under-23s into cup action, but from what you read and hear, he's like a lot of the players there. Gerry is very highly rated, and hopefully, one or two of these guys will come through and make it at the top level. But it's a huge jump. It's interesting, as you said there. Casey, who's highly rated as well. They're clearly thinking seriously about sending him out on loan, which makes sense. Like some of the other players that have gone out on loan, it can't do them any harm. But like Robbie Gotts, playing first team football, week in, week out, can only make them better players, can't it?
So it's something I was actually thinking about earlier this week about some of the players that we have out on loan, and I was kind of thinking to myself, are these players going to benefit more from going and playing in League One or League Two, or being on the training ground where Marcelo Bielsa every day? It's not every manager is like that, but you sometimes think I can only see positives. If they're training with Bielsa every day and they're learning from him, are they actually going to be benefit more from playing in the lower leagues, or is it going to be a case of you don't want to miss a day of training with him?
I hear what you're saying, and yeah, when you're training under a coach like Bielsa, you can only benefit from it. But there's also, as much as there's this talent in the under-23s, and I think they're either top or second in the league. Quite a few of them have had to move around. I mean, Jordan Stevens was at Swindon, hasn't quite worked out. He's now gone to Bradford. Gotts went from Lincoln because he wasn't playing regularly. He's now gone to Salford in League Two. So, you just wonder how many of them will really make that step up from the under-23s and training with Bielsa. And maybe from Leeds' point of view, seeing them play at League Two or League One level may give them a bit more of an insight as to whether or not they really feel that they can make it and become part of a Premier League squad in the coming years. Because a lot of them won't, Gerry, will they? A lot of them will go on and play Championship, League One, League Two, up to Scotland. Ryan Edmondson's, who's always been spoken about, and I remember in the Championship there was quite a bit of, well, why won't Bielsa give him a chance? And went to Aberdeen, scored a couple of goals. He's now at Northampton. So they see them day in, day out. But surely when they're playing for a team week in, week out at these levels, they probably get a better understanding, a better idea if they really feel that they can come into this squad and make it. And some will, and I'm sure a lot unfortunately won't.
I would imagine with Bielsa, whether they're on loan or whether they're still at Leeds, I imagine they're probably not able to do too much without him knowing about it or seeing it. I imagine he's watching every kick they make, whether it's with the first team, reserve teams, whatever. Like the man just lives and breathes the game. Like, so I imagine he's probably in communication. Probably if they do something wrong, he's probably straight on telling them what they've done. But no, I think it's interesting. But as you say, like, obviously we had the team sort of the O'Leary's babies, so to speak, back in the day, and we probably got more than the fair share that we probably should have normally had from a youth team, and got quite a few through out of that team. But it's not really the norm, and one or two is be great. Anybody that can come through. I think there's definitely a few that, in the small samples that we've seen, look the part and could do well. But I think, as you mentioned, the cup games, whenever players come into these games and you're kind of like a young player, I think the best way for a young player to integrate into a team is to come in or come off the bench and play the odd game. But I don't think it helps to pick like 6 youth team players and 5 guys who sit on the bench every week. It's kind of like you want to be like having the guys around them and playing with the full players that are 100% match fitness. I think just our approach to the cups this season has been a bit of a nightmare, and I know we talked about it the other night, so we'll not go too much into that. But I think I was actually looking earlier and I was thinking, what was it? It was like an FA Cup quarter final place if you beat Crawley, Bournemouth, and Burnley, and you could have been in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, but we couldn't even pass the first test there. So we'll not cry over spilt milk.
No, but, and I think. Sorry, Matt. I was going to say, I think also, these guys are quite fortunate that we've got a coach in Bielsa who is prepared to give the youth a chance. A lot of managers at this level, particularly, will want to go out and spend big money on big name players and not give youth a chance. But under Bielsa, you do have a chance of breaking into that first team squad, which has got to be a positive and give them a real lift and boost. And those that have gone out on loan, if they can perform and really sort of do a good job at the club they're at, Bielsa, as you say, he'll be taking notes, he'll be watching everything, and they have got a real opportunity to bed in and work with the first team and get in that 18, 20-man squad, which has got to be good for any young player, isn't it? Coming, especially the thought of having a chance of playing for Leeds United. Wow, it's brilliant, because a lot of coaches going, in the future, when sadly it will happen, Bielsa won't be around. Some coaches might not want to do that as much. But I think Radrizzani believes in it. I think we spent a lot of money in the summer, didn't we, with Greenwood, the guy from Wigan, the lad from Fulham. We're very keen to try and develop these players, and under Bielsa, if they are going to come through, I don't think there's many better coaches in the world that can bring these guys through and get them in the first team.
I think it's interesting what you say about the investment. There was quite a, like, probably for every first team player that we signed, we probably signed 2 kind of guys that are going into that sort of under 23s and underage teams. Like, obviously, fans want to see sort of the sexy signing, so to speak. Like straight into the first team, but I think it is important as well to be sustainable, like to sustain what we're building. It is very important as well to be bringing in young players and having that sort of conveyor belt where right, so this guy's injured, who's the next man up? This young guy, it's his time to get his chance. I think that's important, and I think there probably was a gap between the first team and the young boys, and there wasn't a lot of them ready. But certainly, some of them will probably over the next year or two take their chance. And as you say, Bielsa is a man that will give them the chance. Like I remember, I think it was Martin O'Neill said a few years back, I think whenever he was at Villa, and it was some comment about like, why would I develop young players whenever I'd get sacked and the next guy will benefit from it. And it's one way of looking at it, but for the future of a club, it's better to be developing the youngsters. So fingers crossed a few of them get a chance, and maybe if we can hit whatever points tally we need to get, there could be minutes at the end of the season for them. So we'll see how that works out. But I think I've kept you long enough tonight now.
I'm warming up now, Gerry. Yeah, I'm warming up. Let's keep going. I tell you what, I want to just mention to you. No, just a quick one. You mentioned about the midfield, and just wanted your thoughts on, like on Tuesday night in the second half, Newcastle centre half literally ran from his own penalty box all the way to ours, and we saw that with Ben White against Brighton, and that's something we've got to cut that out, because it's a bit concerning how they just went through us literally from one end of the field to the other. And I think the point you made about the midfield and with Click and Rodrigo, that is something we've got to really look at in the summer, because we're going to get punished more and more if we allow that. It was too easy.
I think it comes down again to the sort of like the man marking style. Like basically what you have there is, like, obviously we'll pretty much go man for man over the pitch plus one extra man in defence with the centre of defence, like we always do. Like we'll play the back three if we're up against two up front, and we'll go one. It'll be the normal back four if they're only up against one striker. But I think what you had against Newcastle was your guy Shaw. He was kind of playing like the extra. He was their extra man in defence, and as he was moving forward, everybody was marking their men, and there was nobody then picking him up. Do you know what I mean? So he's done it a few times, and like I honestly thought there was one part where like it just felt like it was like the sea just opening up, and he just and Millier made a good save, and he was forced into making a good save. But it's something, and as you say, the gap in the midfield, it's like I get it. Like there was one stage before Rodrigo was really playing, and it might even have been whenever he was injured, and Click was kind of playing as that like furthest forward striker, and like I kept talking to my dad about it, and I was saying that like Click's like natural reaction isn't to support Bamford as such. It's like kind of like his natural reaction is, he's a midfielder and he's coming back, and I felt like we didn't really, like we weren't creating as many chances in those games. And then now, obviously, now that we have essentially a striker playing in the midfield, it feels like we've sometimes got a wee bit too open and gone the other way. But I think that will balance itself out whenever we get another midfielder. I think we do need another midfielder. I know that we were talking for a long time about the guy from Fiorentina, Eric Pulgar. Again, I think he would be the kind of guy who would balance our midfield out a bit more. I think like Rodrigo's a striker, or maybe like as they would talk about in Spain as a false nine, and we're essentially asking him to play centre midfield, and his natural runs and where he's going to sort of edge to go in a game is going to be taking him forward. And as we say, it leaves Click open, and I do think we're particularly vulnerable whenever we're playing against two strikers, because Calvin obviously is in the defence, and then we kind of have a line of three in front of him, which is basically the two wing backs and Click. And like it's okay if the wing backs are coming in a bit and like playing a bit narrow, but they're not. You know, they're still playing the width of the pitch, and then it really leaves one midfielder. But it's definitely it's something that frustrates me. But at the same time, I know that it's a gamble that Bielsa's always willing to take, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it's difficult, but I do I don't want to be saying Bielsa shouldn't be doing this because like as far as I'm concerned, if he wanted to come in and eat my dinner tonight, he can do it. But it's
Do you think?
interesting. What do you think yourself?
I was just going to ask you. We talk about we all know we need a midfielder. Do you think we need more than one midfielder? Do you think we maybe need to have a couple more options in that position come the summer, or do you think one would be enough for next season?
I think it depends what you do because I definitely think we need somebody to like if Cal we all know Calvin loves a yellow card, like he loves a yellow card, and he'll probably pick up a red card at some point whenever he tends to if things are going he gets frustrated and maybe lunges in. We've seen him lunging in a few times, so he's always going to have suspensions. Struick's not the man. I don't think his replacement is at the club. I think there's some players there where like we definitely need one for there, which Polgar could definitely do. He could definitely play there. He could play there. He could play where Click plays. So he can kind of cover those positions. I think the fact that we have like Shackleton, I think, is a good player that can step in. Um, Dallas can step into midfield. Um, there's a few options. Obviously Pablo's still there, although like how long will he probably won't be there next season. But I think one would do. One would probably do. Two would be lovely. Like if we went out and we signed as well, like Rodrigo de Paul, but it probably depends where Rodrigo Moreno. It depends where he is seen. Like if he's going to be more further up the pitch and like possibly a long-term replacement for Bamford, then I could see that you would need another midfielder to kind of play as that furthest forward midfielder. But if Bielsa still sees Bamford as the long-term option up front, and he sees Rodrigo as continuing to play in that attacking midfield role, I think one midfielder would do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I think the other guy you mentioned, if he can play in like a bit of the Phillips role and a bit of the Click role, like an 8, a number 10, number 4, I think that would be great. I personally still think, and I'm a massive Bamford fan. I don't think sometimes people appreciate what he does off the ball, and just he's become an absolute really good player under Bielsa. But I still feel we need another striker next season to complement Bamford. Because sometimes you have off days, you have days where it's just not working out. And again, Rodrigo's not somebody who's going to come up and score loads and loads of goals. So I'd like to see another striker. But yeah, midfield. Yeah, as you said, I'd go with that. I'm still not sure about Shackleton. I'd like to see Shacks have a bit more of a chance in midfield when things aren't going well. He played really well in that game against Villa. Then the next game, unfortunately, I think he got substituted at half time. Can't remember which game it was now, Gerry, but he had a great game at Villa. So I'd like to see Shackleton. I prefer him in the midfield with his energy than I do at right back.
I'm just thinking, was the next game, was it Leicester?
It could have been, actually. It could have been.
I think it was Leicester because he definitely started that game. I think it might have been that game, but I think it was you were saying as well that like I do think he's a midfielder. But obviously Bielsa as well has played him at right back, which is it's just the way he operates, But I do think he's a midfielder, and I do like the guy. I do have. I think there's a lot of potential. It's interesting, obviously, what you say about Bamford. Like he does, like there's no denying it. His work rate is fantastic. And at the start of the season, it was brilliant when he was scoring all the goals as well. And it's like basically sometimes you'll get a striker that they'll talk about, he doesn't do anything, but he scores goals. And Bamford obviously is kind of like he puts so much in, and for the way Bielsa wants the team to play, he's key to what he does.
Yeah.
But it is just, I think sometimes when he doesn't score, it does hurt the team, because although Harrison and Rafinha are like, obviously they both scored there against Newcastle, but obviously we went that few games there where we didn't score, so I just think we just need to score more goals as well, and the system that we play, it's hard to expect a large amount of goals from anywhere other than the striker, so it is, it's like, if you could keep up the goals, he must, what was it? He scored in like the first 5 away games or something, didn't he? It was some
Yeah.
run
Yeah.
at the start of the season. It was like 5 or 6 or something. Because was it? No, he did score. I can't remember which game it was, but I remember him being raging that he was getting subbed before he had scored, like for whatever the record was or something. But yeah, but no, I think like ultimately, the jersey's his, and so it's going to take something special to knock it away from him. I honestly didn't expect him to do as well as he has in the Premier League. I thought the Championship was his level, and it seemed to be his level his whole career. He seemed to like be in promotion teams or teams battling for promotion, doing well, scoring goals, and then always seemed to get replaced in the Premier League. So it's been good that he's. I'm sure it's done his confidence, and it's done his confidence the world of good, and it's kind of. Bielsa's put a lot into him as well. You can see, and
Yeah.
like always remember the celebrations. The night whenever was it the night we got promoted or the day after? But I always like Bamford and Bielsa like hugging, and you could see like it was a real, like it wasn't just like a sort of like, oh, you're one of my employees. There was genuine respect, and there was a lot to that. But no, hopefully,
No,
as far as I'm concerned,
definitely.
he's there. Yeah,
No,
but
no, I think he's turned him into a cracking player, and some of the finishes he did last year was superb. I think that was quite the frustrating thing. He scored some really good goals that you weren't expecting, and it was those chances that you thought you should be putting that away, and he probably knew more than anybody he should have put them away. But I think you're right. I think he feels at home at Leeds. I think he really, really respects Bielsa. Bielsa believes in him, and that brings out a lot in a player, doesn't it? And he's shown that 10 goals in 20 games is brilliant. But he's going to have his off days, and just sometimes you need something different to bring off the bench and just come up and get an equaliser or a winning goal. Because you can't just put it all on Bamford. It's just not fair. We need goals from other players, don't we? Like you say, Harrison, Rafinha, a few more from Rodrigo. Click scored 10 goals the year before last, didn't he? I think he scored 8 or 9 last season in the Championship. So, yeah, we're in a good place, aren't we? It's 26 points from 20 games. We'd have taken that all day long, wouldn't we?
yeah, here, see, whenever we were like sitting in League One and all these different, to me, it's just like it's just brilliant. You're just sitting, you're watching the games, and it's like I still don't think it feels real because we were out for so long, out of the top flight, and it's like the Premier League's a different place now. Like, and there's certain, like, some teams that kind of have got themselves loaded with money, and I always kind of one of my fears about like Leeds getting promoted was like I almost kind of felt like, will it be like a case of like just struggling to survive every year? And I think like you see some of these teams that go up and they go down and they go up, and they like West Brom are just like they're just perennial, just up down, and I think Bielsa and the style of play that we have, like every game you're genuinely looking forward to every game. It's not like you're sitting thinking, oh, geez, I have to sit through another 90 minutes of watching this here. Like could you imagine like Big Sam Allardyce or someone managing Leeds? You'd just be depressed watching them every week, like just struggling trying to get enough points to stay up. But like it's just the fact that you're going out and it's like you're having a real pop at everyone, and it's just it is like, as I know you guys were saying through the other night, it's like like everybody kind of likes Leeds, which
We don't like.
we're not comfortable with.
No.
But at the same time, who cares whether they like us or not? We like watching Leeds. You know, it's not like we're sitting watching just dire football, and it's just fantastic to me. It's just I'm just absolutely loving it, to be honest. But we have this game against Leicester, and we're going to beat Leicester. So we've decided that. I've decided that we're going to win.
Come on, Gerry. Come on.
So
That's what we want.
yeah. So
Positivity on a Friday night.
hopefully Bielsa and the lads get the message and just turn up and do the job. But fingers crossed, we'll do it. And as I say, the channel, I'll probably do something on Sunday. I don't. It'll depend on the wife and kids. They'll all be about on Sunday, so it'll all depend what time. But I'll probably have something on the channel then. And then there's the Everton game. There's the Palace game. We're thick and they're coming thick and fast, and hopefully the points are coming thick and fast too. But my thanks to Ginny. Thanks to you for joining tonight, and anybody there that's watched. I've seen there was a few guys commenting. Ross, who tells me he's going to come on someday. Was talking about the Palace games Monday night, and the Wolves game got moved as well to the Friday. So a couple of evening matches there. That'll be thanking the Stella them nights, I would say. So
absolutely. My apologies for the technical differences at the start, but once again, Gerry, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going for a 2-2 draw. Bamford and Rafina on Sunday.
Bamford here, but you've definitely give Bamford a good talking anyway. So if hopefully. But no, in seriousness, like if we get anything out of the game against Leicester, and they have their difficulties, and I'd be delighted, And ultimately, it's keeping ourselves up and keep building, keep going in the right direction, and keep Marcelo Bielsa for as long as we can. But like I say, thanks very much for joining me tonight, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
I hope so. Thanks, Gerry. Have a nice weekend and enjoy the game on Sunday. Leeds.
You too, Jenny. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.